Little is known of the genesis of the Jedi. The study of the Force and the science behind the microscope, midichlorians that act as the symbiotic force carriers in most living things, had previously been practiced by the paladins of the Chatos Academy. The followers of Palawa and the mystic order of Dai Bendu on planets as diverse as Had Abaddon and Ondos. The specific tenets of the Jedi Order, however, are believed to have been set down on the dawn world of Tython, where many Force users harnessed a positive energy called the Ashla. Those who hungered to wield the Force for personal power dragged the planet into an exhausting conflict known as the Force Wars. From the ashes of this conflict, the Force users of Tython established the Jedi as a society of monastic warriors who obeyed the precepts of harmony, knowledge, serenity, and peace. And that is from the essential chronology that is very dated indeed. Of course, it goes before George Lucas and what's his name? Rick McCallum, and they were trying to get the money for the Underworld and detours, and then they ended up selling to Disney, but that's a whole other thing, right? And a lot of that stuff in the chronology is based on across all the novels, games, comic books. And what you're looking at is, hold on, and there's so much. You're looking at the all the Dark Horse, and so this is a Drake pod. When you see the microphone emoji at the left, this will be a pod. So I'm going to keep it that way. I could put Drake Pod before the title on the YouTube video, but I want to make sure that the title of the video is short enough so that you can click on it easily. So we'll put a microphone, like that big one, that the boxing ring microphone, and then you'll know it's a podcast. Yeah, these are all Dark Horse. Fuck Marvel, retro owning all the shit. Fuck Marvel and Disney right now. So that is from all the stories from the chronology are well documented, but of course this was before Dave Filoni's Clone Wars, before Disney, before the Rey Skywalker trilogy, the Disney trilogy, Rogue One, and I think before some of the more recent stuff like Legacy, all these ones here that you see here, that this took place after the chronology. So the chronology is not, it says essential, but it's dated, right? But that's how I learned about the beginnings of the Jedi. I said many times in my head, the only way we would know about the only movie that would serve a real purpose is how did the Jedi start? And I never really knew if it was part of a comic book or what. But now I realized in my recent memory, because I'm stupid like that, the same people behind Star Wars Legacy 1 with Kate Skywalker, John Ostrander, did write Dawn of the Jedi, which is super important. So I I ordered the book, the Dark Horse edition, and not the. I may get the Kindle books if I'm really getting into it, but as of right now, I'm just collecting whatever's Dark Horse because I like what Dark Horse did. If Dark Horse did sell all their assets to Marvel and Disney, that's fucked, because they had the bulk of the best stories ever, and they got rid of them. But that was another video. James Mangold, who did Logan and Wolverine, is set to do this movie, and whenever this movie comes out. It kind of goes back to the Injustice video I made about Injustice, Superman turning evil, and all that. When they announced the animated movie, which was like 70 minutes long, I already knew that movie was gonna suck balls and was gonna be pale in comparison or in contrast to the comic books and the video game, because the comic books were extensive, right? You went through so many issues, so many. I think it was about as extensive as this one here, and maybe some of the Knights of the Old Republic, right? Because Dark Horse did their stuff in the 90s. So you go back to like Dark Empire 2, Shadows of the Empire, some of the regular Star Wars stories, Rebellion. John Ostrander wrote the first Purge, where Darth Vader killed like 8 Jedi to find Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was a great legend story. But this is the kind of stuff he did anyway. Marvel did their version to make it canon. Honestly, let's be honest. Can we be honest? There's no way that whether it's Marvel's canon or it was George Lucas's canon through the EU, there is no EU that is going to be tightly wound and made firm tight. Okay, it's just that Disney wants to make their own Star Wars, and that's that. Now they're backpedaling because they realized they were fucked. They had to go back to the Heir of the Empire, and they have to go back to Dawn of the Jedi. We still haven't seen Dark Talon yet. I don't know what's going to happen. I kind of feel like in many ways, Dave Filoni took a lot of the Clone Wars plot because the plot where the Mon Calamari are imprisoned, you have the conflict between the Quarren and the Mon Calamari. I feel like that was taken from the comic books where Darth Krayt kills all these the Mon Calamari and then imprisons the rest. And there was a whole two-part story on that. While Krayt was killed the first time by Kate Skywalker and I can't remember her name. There was Siegel Dare, so the Imperial Jedi, right? And so it's such I'm trying to remember my train of thought. And this was from the Vector series. So this kind of like Dave took a lot from the shipyard planet that was originally Mon Calamari or Dak became a shipyard planet for season 6 of Clone Wars. And then I always kind of felt like this one took a lot. Rogue One took from this one, right? This was like Rogue One ahead of time. And you even had a Hera type character. You had a Twi'lek with green Twi'lek with who was like a fighter, who was like a rebel fighter, and like Hera came from that. But I thought I could remember a Dark Horse comic where you had, I think it was the X-Wing there might have been an X-Wing comic book based on a video game where you had a green Twi'lek who was wearing an orange Luke jumpsuit. I could recall this. And of course, up there, I documented this on my channel, is the Star Wars. That's kind of, there's a great trailer that was made by, I don't know who it is, Ryan School or somebody. And it was a great trailer based on the original concept of the Star Wars. To me, I think THX 1138 is sort of like that prototype Star Wars as well. There's so much good content. But yeah, with what is the origins of the Jedi, or even the origins of the Sith? On here, this is what I liked about this book, The Golden Age of the Sith, the Daragon brother and sister, was that it introduced the Sith in a way that was old-fashioned. It had this sort of ancient ships and ancient worlds, and everything had a very, I would say, ancient Egyptian, Persian look. Like nobody had like it was a little bit far away from the Old Republic and the prequels, and definitely far away from the Han Solo, um, modern look with the Empire. It was very, very different. And so you had a distinction with the Golden Age of the Sith. And they may tell this story after they tell, the Jedi story. Because you'd want to know that, right? You'd want to know about Darth Plagueis as well. I mean, Darth Plagueis is fucking canon. He is a fucking Mune. We know this. To go against that would be unwise, because why would you want to piss off the fan base? Of course, J.J. Abrams did that when he didn't act like he didn't know who Plagueis was. I have never seen Wolverine or Logan as far as this movie goes. I have never seen any of that. So I don't know what I would want from this movie. I don't know, as we get to the bottom line of the of this topic, I don't know what I would expect or want or hope from this. Let's say it's 2.5 hours. Let's say it's about as long as Revenge of the Sith, okay? So you have to cover 15 books in 2.5 hours. It could be done. It might be done. There might be the best parts. It's like if he's going to take Dawn of the Jedi literally and make that into something. I don't think he's going to call it Dawn of the Jedi. I think they're going to call it something else, Jedi Bendu or some other shite, which was in the Star Wars rough draft. Um, I don't know what he'll call it. I don't think he'll do it exactly the same way. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, that's the safest bet. You got. I know that Comics Explain has covered the topic of the Dawn of the Jedi, Star Wars theory, on a lesser degree, John Campea. But I do think that if they are, as long as Kathleen Kennedy is in charge, as long as she's in charge, it doesn't matter who you rah for, because she can step in and do whatever the hell she wants to do and make it crap. There has not been a movie since The Rise of Skywalker. It has been a 4-year dry spell. And I think Geeks and Gamers was trying to say, or Jeremy was saying, there's no such thing as fatigue, of superhero fatigue. I disagree. Having fatigue from movies is a matter of personal perspective. You can be tired of the superhero movies. You can be tired of the Star Wars movies. That could be your personal choice. But what Bob Iger had the nerve to say to investors and to people, oh, it's Star Wars fatigue. That's why Solo didn't do well. No, you motherfuckers. It didn't do well because you made bad movies. You made, on one hand, okay, less than George Lucas, okay, on one hand, literally, the number of movies, and like 4 out of 5 were terrible, okay, save for Rogue One. And you're going to say it's fatigue. No, it's not fatigue. It's just that you let Kathleen go on with her Forces female shit. She couldn't even like make a correction T-shirt. The Force is for everyone. Even the guy, there's a YouTuber who made a motion comic depiction of Shadows of the Empire, and he made a long outro and said the Force is for everyone. That's it. I mean, that's just it. It's so stupid. So what Disney's doing could be bad, could be good. You can cover 15 issues in 2.5 hours, I think. Something will get lost in the translation. But Jan Duresma and John Ostrander, who did Legacy with Kate Skywalker and Darth Talon, Darth Krayt, the Imperial Jedi, the Missionaries, all these different factions, which was fantastic. And that's one of the reasons I'm going to pick up this book and read. I have not read Dawn of the Jedi, so no spoilers if you can avoid them. Obviously, most of these people die, and the Force is transferred to, it goes on, and the Jedi are officially formed somehow with those battery packs and cords, and then they use cordless lightsabers and all that. And then we get the Old Republic, the High Republic, and then the 6 movies, and on and on and on to the bad movies, and the TV shows, The Mandalorian. It's a mess. It used to be you had 1 movie, then you had 2 and 3, then 6, and then cartoons. It was just, it's expanding. There's just too many. So it's now at this point where everybody has their preference. This is my preference of comic books. I don't like what Disney Marvel did, but that's how it is. Are you looking forward to Dawn of the Jedi? They're going to call it something else. Most likely, they're going to call it something else. They're going to call it something else. Maybe they'll call it Jedi Genesis. Who knows? Genesis Jedi. Maybe they'll call it Genesis, as in like the biblical Genesis. They can call it anything. I mean, they're going to do that, right? So, I mean, you're just learning how the Jedi came to be. Will it be better than what John Ostrander did? I'm going to say probably not. And that poor man had glaucoma. He can't write like he used to anymore. I mean, the only way he could write now is to dictate onto a computer and then send the story out to somebody else and have somebody else help with that. It wasn't like with Joe Shuster when he had poor eyes and he was trying to draw Superman a lot. I think he ended up drawing some other stuff. It was a different time. So I know this is late and I wanted to put in my 2 bits about it. That movie could never get made. They could just backpedal on it. It's all on Kathleen Kennedy. And then, like they said too, Kathleen Kennedy announces projects, and then most of the time those projects get on the back burner. Even Angry Joe pointed out half of these projects get into the shitter. Some of them are delayed. Some of them eventually come out, and some of them, when they do come out, they're shit. And I don't subscribe to Disney Plus. I'll go see a movie if I feel it's right. We'll take a look at it. But everybody's on that woke alert now with these movies because we know we've seen it time and time again, and we don't need to see another one like that. So that's why I encourage us to read more. I mean, between Golden Age of the Sith, the legacy stories, the Star Wars, or the Dawn of the Jedi, I think there's a nice set of reading material. I'm gonna go back and reread some old stories. Um, I like what Dark Horse has done. I don't like what Dark Horse is doing now with the High Republic. I've seen and heard the stories are very underdeveloped. The magic is gone. John Ostrander's retired, I think, and everybody's moved on. The writer and artist who did this one did Green Lantern. I love those. I love the Green Lantern books from Earth One. Great stories. I reviewed them on my channel. Great stuff. And also, the music that you heard was a from a YouTuber. Let me get his name. Mandalorian Commando. This was the Mandalorian War Song. I just wanted something that's the Mandalorian War Song. I just wanted something tribal to sound ancient. Like if you go to the future, you should have heavy metal music. If you stay in the six movies, you should have orchestras, right? But if you go to the distant future or you go to the distant past, you should hear tribal, acoustic, like kind of like the music you hear from like the Ewoks or um, something like that, where it just sounds like sticks on drums and shit, but like some music and chants and stuff. I don't know. That was my thought and feeling. Anyway, if you like this video, if it's good enough for you, you see those icons below, you know what to do. I'm not holding my breath for this stuff. I'm just going to read the comics for now. I feel a little bit of Star Wars fatigue, but it's a good fatigue. The only thing I'm fatigued from is Disney's nonsense.